We stopped using wood screens. I recommend anybody just go burn them, just throw them away, whatever. Make some cool art and hang it on the wall, sit on Etsy, whatever. Get rid of those stupid things.
Squeegee Podcast Season 2. This podcast is sponsored by Blind Maggot, Magna Colours, M&R, Target Transfers, and Adobe Creative Suite.
So the company's called Silkscreams. It screams like you're yelling, Silkscreams. So I have to say that on the phone all the time. So we specialize in, we've kind of narrowed our niche down over the past couple of years. We were doing signs and promotional products and, tons of other types of media, but we're focusing on apparel now. So I handle the screen printing, and my sister Samantha, you might have seen in a little bit in some of the videos, she's doing embroidery, and she does all the administrative work.
Oh, good. Well done for palming that off. The administration work sucks, doesn't it?
She's very academic, and I'm very more hands-on creative. So yeah. She's better suited to that. I would. I can't do spreadsheets.
Yeah, no, I had to pass that on as soon as possible. So, your mum Cindy started it all in the 70s. Can you talk to
80s?
80s.
Yeah,
oh, the 80s. Yeah. Oh, wait, she was at school in the 70s. Sorry, yeah. I've just read too many things all at once. Can you tell us about how she actually made it into a business and it wasn't just something she was known for doing?
Yeah. So she took screen printing in high school along with other art classes, and once she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked. She stayed at home. She needed to make some extra money, so she said, "Hey, let's do some screen printing." And she and my dad put together a kind of a makeshift hobby press. There wasn't Ryonet back then or screenprinting.com, so they had some sort of table with hinges, and they were using my dad had converted a space heater, one of those little infrared heaters, into a flash unit, and that's how they were drying shirts. So she did that for a little bit, and she played softball. And she was making shirts for her softball team and a few other teams. And it wasn't long before she decided to actually give it a go and make it an actual, company. And so we were founded in 1987.
That sounds awesome, doesn't it? This is that's really, really cool. So it must have been so hard back then, because now we're oversaturated with resources and information, but knowing what to do with the ink, you must just be calling up one supplier, if that, and they're not dedicated to it. And is that why it looks like you've got some kind of, you seem to fix stuff and make stuff in the studio? Do you think you inherited those kind of skills from your dad, or?
Yeah, my dad's kind of a handyman. He's a union sheet metal worker. And so all growing up, he showed me how to fix things, and he seemed to think that would be real important for my future. So, and then I'm pretty creative too. So when you take that hands-on quality, a bit of mechanical know-how and creativity, and then also, they say necessity is the mother of invention. So I need stuff, and I can't wait for either a supplier to ship it to me, or I don't want to spend $500 on something I don't even know is going to work. So I'll just get to it and make something. Often it's because I got a hair in my face. Often it's because I've been lying awake at night thinking, how do I make something to fit this need? And I'll think of something and bring a few scraps of metal from the yard in, and give it a try and kind of prototype it and develop it from there.
Yeah, that's definitely how I was annoyed at myself for not finding your account earlier, because I saw that video that probably a lot of other people saw, where you attach it seems really simple, but it's not. You attach kind of a spatula to a drill bit, and then you're just showing exactly how to do it. And I was like, oh, that's what we can do, because they've got all the big turnarounds for mixing huge pots, but no one's really figured out the little pot situation, have they?
Right, and those turnarounds are $1,000. So that's a lot for mixing some ink. And most of it we mix by hand, but now and then you get a bucket of white down that you've had for, a year sitting on a shelf, and it's separated like natural peanut butter,
Yeah.
and it needs a turn, and that's awful trying to spin that. So I explained the problem to my dad, and I was also listening to Dylan from Churcha, and he was talking about he'd like to be able to use the spatula you're going to use in the bucket to stir it. And Dad showed up the next day with that little gadget, and it's a socket, like I forget what size, like a 5/8 inch socket, probably close to like a 19 millimeter or something. And he welded that to a piece of pipe and just beat the pipe to match the shape of the spatula, and it's just a ready-made tool.
That's so cool, isn't it? And then you've done fluff bars and all sorts of stuff. Like, surely the company, I can't tell what press that is. I actually thought it was a different color and you just put a filter on it, because how come it's the shop's color? Have you got it powder coated or something?
Well, I was looking into different presses, Lawson, Anatol, anybody who had it, like an electric press, Brown. And I was talking with Anatol and was about to sign the papers pretty much, and it was going to end up with some big red machine. And I saw online my shirt guy, I saw he had a lot of his machine was black, and I asked my rep, and he said, yeah, they paint them. They'll paint them any color I want. So I gave him our company Pantone, and they had it's powder coat, but they painted it at the factory for me.
Yeah, why not? That is so cool. Like I've been trying to get Em to allow me to take mine apart, but she doesn't think I'll get it like level again, so I'm not really allowed to touch it. But maybe if we move one day, I'm gonna definitely get in there. Yeah,
you've got a cruiser?
Yeah, just a little cruiser.
Yeah. I mean, I have the Sidewinder. It's very similar, and it's easy to take apart. The trick is they're powder coated, so it's a pretty thick coat, and you have to sand that down. Otherwise, when you paint it, it's going to add, a lot of material. So
do they sandblast it first, and then powder?
I'd imagine if you took it to a powder coat shop, they would probably want to sandblast it first. Yeah. Obviously, this was raw material.
Yeah. Well, it has to look good in your shop, because it seems like branding and the look and feel of your videos is really important to you guys. So, like, is that something that you've taken on yourself with all the video production side of it?
So I took over the social media. It seemed to be pretty important. It was becoming more important. I was seeing that people were getting a lot of business from it. This was before COVID. And I noticed pictures didn't do so well, and everything was seeming to go video. So I started my hand at that. I would look at them and go, these look like crap. I hate this. And I go look and try to figure out why, is it the settings of my camera? Is it me? Is it my lights? And it was all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you like turning the lights off, putting colored lights on? And then there's something else. I think you should just do like a class on teaching printers how to film stuff. But do you have like a GoPro on a stick and you just like do that type of thing on the shirt? Or like, I just don't know how you're getting some of your angles and shots and stuff.
Most of my shots are just handheld. I have a gimbal. What is it? I forget the brand. It's a little gray one. I've got it right there. But I had a gimbal, and I've got all these tripods and different mounts. I don't like static mounts, like the camera just sitting still. Works sometimes, but it looks pretty boring mostly. So a lot of the shots are just handheld. I'm just taking the phone, and there's a way to hold it with your arms against your body, to where you're not, So I learned how to hold it and all that. Some of the shots, if you saw one where it seemed to drop from one high down into the shirt, I actually had the camera tied to a stick. Then held the stick up high and did that. Yeah.
Smashed it in. It's so clever. Like, how are you editing it as well? Are you doing it on like a computer with like a proper setup, or are you doing it like in TikTok or Instagram? Or
at first, some of my first videos, I tried editing in Instagram, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I would get it just about right, and then the phone would ring, and it would just lose all my stuff, and that made me mad. So I I asked around. My brother introduced me to an app called InShot.
InShot.
InShot. It's a pretty good video editing app, and it works on your iPhone. And so I used that, and I got into Premiere. So I got pretty good at using Premiere, but it's so cumbersome. It's pretty clunky, and it does really good stuff. But in the end, my videos are going to be posted on a phone, so I don't use it that much. There's one where I've done the screen reclaim video I edited with Premiere. But for the most part, it's InShot. All the ones lately have just been InShot. The Jaws one and the Jaguar one was handheld with InShot on an iPhone.
So with the name, is it because I think the strapline originally was something like, you correct me, sorry, but it was something like we not scream about quality, but sorry, what is the strapline again?
Originally, it was our prints speak for themselves.
Yeah. So the
name worked.
Yeah. And now have you kind of turned it into Halloween's your time of year? So it's like Silkscreams, like spooky?
Yeah.
Or is just that what we're getting as a perception of someone who's watching your Jaws video? I thought there was like, maybe these guys like really turn it up at Halloween time.
No, that was I wanted to shoot a video for that art because it has a cool shark, and it was called Jaws, and so the theme was spelled out for me. I didn't have to think of anything, so I just kind of made it look real moody. I turned on all the blue lights I had, so it kind of looked like the poster for Jaws is blue with red words, so I wanted everything to be kind of blue and red, and then really kind of 70s Spielberg type lighting, so it uses a lot of warm tungsten bulbs. And so anything that I was filling the room with was going to be kind of a yellow warm light.
That's really cool. So like, what does your mum think about, or what does your parents think about the direction that you're bringing the business in, or like the other family members? Like,
So we spent a long time taking any order that came through the door. Hey, I need a shirt for my kid tomorrow for his birthday. It's just anybody, and it was. We thought it was good customer service, and kind of an honorable thing to do, but it just made us crazy. We'd be running around trying to get all these things done for people, and I'd spend all Friday night trying to get 2 or 3 shirts done, and it was a $65 order. And as much as I love helping people, it was draining us big time, and we weren't making money. And I think Mark Coudray talks about it a lot, the 80-20 rule. So the top 20% of your revenue drivers are supplementing subsidizing the other 80%. And we looked at our bottom 80%, and the bottom 60 was like $25, $70, and there was thousands of those. And so we upped our minimums. And the sign thing was we were doing signs, lettering vehicles. And my uncle was doing that. He's gotten a little older, so I had to take on the vehicles. And you can imagine trying to do graphic arts and then standing in the heat in the parking lot half the day, and then coming back in and trying to do customer service. It just was too much. So we just refocused on the screen printing and embroidery and heat press. And it's proven to be effective. We're able to focus on the things that we're good at. We're not super spread out. We're able to service the customers that are, just more valuable, to us, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean, though. You kind of feel like a little bit like I'm being a horrible person by not doing that job for you, but you got to think I'm not a charity case. I'm a businessman.
Yeah,
so.
this is a business, and what it frees me up to do is to take the jobs that are, for lack of a better word, charity or something. There's jobs that this lady called. She's in from a few states away. Her mother's last day of chemo. was at the hospital down the road, and they ring a bell. She wanted to get her a Wonder Woman shirt in pink for breast cancer. And I was able to just take that on and get it done for her. And I wasn't resenting the lady for not being prepared or something, and I wasn't putting off any other, important jobs. But I really cared about her cause and what she wanted to do. And I thought it was just super sweet. So we did that for her, But I wouldn't have been able to take her on if I was just taking on every Tom, Dick, and Harry who walked through the door and needed a shirt this weekend.
Yeah. Are you quite into like reading business books and that type of thing after putting 80/20 into place?
Yeah, I'm not super academic, so I'll listen to lectures while I'm working.
Yeah.
I listen to every podcast Mark Coudray puts on, and all the Print Hustler stuff. I'll listen to those and watch those. I haven't bought too many books. If you're printing, it's hard to read.
I know. So, I don't actually read books. I just listen to them on Audible because I'm super dyslexic too. But yeah, there's so much rich information. But all those like Print Hustler people and stuff, they're always referring to like the core 10 business books anyway, and just repurposing all that information. So yeah, I think
they're all talking about traction and Mark Coudray's 80/20 stuff. There's tons of books. I don't have the time. I'm hoping to have the time. That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. But refining these things and doing what they say, because it sounds super drastic to like, are you sure 80% of my customers? And you're like, yes, because that vinyl that you got in for that one guy is still sitting there and you still haven't used it. So that's like 100 quid sat on the shelf. That times like hundreds is the mess that people can get themselves in, isn't it? But
yeah. And then the time, it's really, his job only took an hour, but that's an hour I put off the guy who had his art ready, gave me $5,000, no questions asked, and gave me 4 weeks to do the job. But if I keep doing all these 1 hour, jobs, I'm up against it doing it last minute for the guy. And in the end, I don't do the job that I know I can do. It's not going to be as good. If something happens, I have to call the guy and tell him, hey man, we're screwing up. So it's just to protect our business and my sanity. We kind of have to do that.
Yeah. Do you think the changes that you made have like helped you just jump, because there's a recent thing going from manual to auto? Do you think you wouldn't have been able to do that if you hadn't have like stopped, cleared everything out, stopped doing certain things and haven't refocused what your plan is?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was spread too thin. Once we cut out signs and we stopped doing vehicles and banners and stuff like that, that opened up a lot of time for me, and gave me some time. The COVID thing got really weird. I had randomly a lot of time, and then all of a sudden there would be a lot of jobs, and then there would be kind of nothing again. So it gave me time to really hone in my shop, get all of my processes down. The idea was to create processes that were teachable. Before it was a lot of, all right, this is how you do it. You jam the thing in here, and then no, not like that, and then you kick it. Okay, don't breathe too hard on it. You can't train stuff like that. So I want to make it kind of idiot proof. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and then I can have someone in here to do it. I don't have to babysit them, and I can move on to something, something higher caliber that is going to actually improve the business. Yeah,
because even just watching your Instagrams and like backdating, you're almost like teaching us how to do it. Like with like, I coat this twice, I do this because of this reason, this is how I decoat a screen, and this is like the system and how long I do it. So you're kind of like, are you can't really be using those Instagram videos to teach people, but it looks like you're refining everything down. Like, how have you done the pre-reg kind of part of lining things up on press? Because that seems to be the thing that takes people the longest and is the hardest to teach.
It still sucks. So this job is really about the outside of customer service and everything, executing the job and completing it are all about controlling variables. So you have to cut out as many variables as you can. We stopped using wood screens. I recommend anybody just go burn them, just throw them away, whatever. Make some cool art and hang it on the wall, sit on Etsy, whatever. Get rid of those stupid things because they're wobbly. And what we were having is, you'd set up a job, you'd line it up, tighten it down, and then it's off. And then you get it right, you print it, it's off. Why is this happening? And I took a deep dive into all that, like why? There's somebody who's figured this out, because you hear about these shops where they set up a 14-color job in 15 minutes. I'm like, bullshit. There's no way.
You're watching the video and you're like, no, they really did it, the buggers.
Yeah. Screen tension, that's a big deal. I didn't know about that until, honestly, 2 years ago. It had come up somehow in some video I saw where they're talking about tension, and it was kind of a eureka moment, because I'd have this great screen, the emulsion looks good, the ink's good, everything's beautiful. I print a white circle, and then my black screen is lined up to it perfectly, and I'd print it, and it's an egg. It would be, it wouldn't line up. Nothing we would do. And then I learned that the looser the tension, the more the screen drags as the squeegee pulls over it. So if your screens are different tensions, this one's not dragging, this one's dragging a lot, you are never going to line that up, unless you're just lucky and you happen to just get it in there.
Yeah, you got two equally shit screens on top of each other or something random like that. That's really
cool. So one's at 16 newtons, one's at 24 newtons. You're never going to make that work. 216 newtons, probably, So I got the little meter from eBay and started measuring, and sure enough, the screens that I thought sucked for printing white, sure enough, they were like 16 newtons. The ones that I liked were high mesh, and from there, it really opened up like the ability to get a screen on press and register it and have it actually print where I put it. From there, it really gets better, having all the same screens. I get all my screens from Graphic Screen Fashion now. It doesn't really matter who you get them from, as long as they're high quality, but Frank is amazing, super great and supportive. They call and ask how I'm doing. That's great,
Yeah.
Then,
I've heard a lot about him, but obviously we don't get served by him. But I do recognize the sticker now, and you kind of see the sticker logo, and you say Frank, but with like lots of F's in your head, don't you? So
yeah.
He must have done really well off this shirt show collaboration, because he's even got his own like strap line, and like everyone knows about him now. So
yeah, I believe that's how I heard about him, and I'm like, well, these guys are just singing his praises on the hills, then it must be pretty good. And sure enough, yeah, they're good screens. They're my best screens from before. They're a little heavier duty. They're all equal. They all hold the same tension. And we switched to thin threads. He, kind of specializes in that, it seems like. So it's been a pretty good partnership there, having him make our screens.
Have you popped many screens because of from going over to normal to thin threads? Because aren't they more like delicate, and you have to like round off your squeegees, or like how are you adapting to that?
So we use tape, and tape where the corners of the squeegees are going to go. Okay. They're clipped a little bit. That hasn't popped any screens. The one time I didn't have tape and it was a longer run, the squeegee seemed to rub the emulsion off first, and that was like a warning. We had a little stripe down the side. That was a big setback, because it was like 40 shirts we had to spray out.
Yeah.
As far as popping screens go, most of it's handling them off the press, where you have, I'll show you. So most of it is where you have the two screens. And
you got one that's ripped.
Yeah, so there's a couple that are ripped there, but most of it's you bump them like that.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's how it happens.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful. I brought show and tell stuff.
What other show and tell stuff have you got? Have you got your flood bars and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, you want me to pull up the camera?
yeah, if it's not a.
It's a little dirty, but
Did you like properly have to weld it up, or like?
No. So it's just some low gauge or high gauge, I guess, galvanized metal that I use snips and rounded the corners so they don't cut.
Just, like,
and then I'm using some really good tape. I just taped it on. It's not a high pressure part, so all it needs to do is just kind of hang on there.
Nice.
But I ran a piece on the whole back and ran tape down it. And it stays on. The trick is just not to have it go past the actual flood bar, because then it could cut the screen.
I see. So it just kind of like so for people who don't know, it's kind of when you get those lines of ink on the sides, you'd normally have to manually go and deposit those back into the ink's path. So it just like scoops them up for you, tucks them back in.
Yeah, so the flood bars act like a snowplow, and they just push all that stuff off. So you put these little guides on there to push it back in.
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward thing to make. It's it's not moving parts.
No, that's really cool. So like when you're talking about teaching people, are you talking about teaching people who aren't part of the family to come in, or other family members, or like how does the setup work? Is it just you and your sister, or?
So during COVID, my brother was helping us out, and his wife, she had a baby, so they left. And then we fired someone, and then another one of our helpers she wants to be a baker and make and decorate beautiful cakes, so she went to do that. So it was me and Sam for a while. And then we decided we were offering jobs to, not offering, but we were taking hires from the family a lot. And it was, somebody's nephew doesn't have a job, and we just stopped doing that because it doesn't work out well. They, often they're unskilled and don't. It seems like when people work for a family, they kind of think that they're invincible as far as getting fired so what was happening is we would hire someone new, but if you have someone on their phone all day, it's hard to yell at a family member, but then that new employee sees them as a bad example and then begins to pick up that behavior. So it's really hard to run a tight ship that way. Yeah. So we're basically not going to pick up anybody from the family unless they're really fired up about the industry itself, not just like, hey, I need a job.
Yeah, it is hard to do that though, isn't it? Do you get a lot of people like asking you for work experience? No.
Not as much as you think.
I get it all the time, like constant.
Yeah.
But
it's we get resumes now and then. Since we're getting a little bigger on Instagram, we have had a good number of messages. Usually somebody has started a brand and they want to learn more about how to print and kind of execute their dreams and everything. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I need more help with quotes, like quoting people and answering the phones. A lot of those kids, I don't think they know really what goes into screen printing.
I know. It's tricky, isn't it, to filter them out, because there's a whole culture on the internet, which is like hustle culture, like print shirts to make loads of money. And then it doesn't help the kids, like, okay, you've gone and done the shirts or you've made them yourself, wherever, but now you need to sell them. And they don't know how to sell the shirts effectively enough. And it's kind of like people on the internet have taken screen printing your own shirts and making your own brand, and they kind of like just ruined it a little bit because they think it's quick, easy money, but it's not. It's hard work, and it is a business that you should approach like a business.
It is. I mean, if it was easy to sell your own shirts, I'd have my own brand already.
That shirt's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I keep eyeballing it and seeing little details like the little t-shirt and
I designed this myself and created all the little doodads and stuff. And I'd love to sell that kind of stuff, but I'm like, who's our audience? You know, if we're not, don't have an audience on Instagram who might want to, support us, I have to go like, I don't know, run around the Walmart parking lot like, hey, buy my shirt. You know?
Do you have like things in your area where you can just, I've seen like other print shops, especially in America, and they just like write Tennessee or something, and they just like basically do county shirts and that type of thing. Is that something that would be popular in your town and stuff?
Yeah. We're in Jacksonville Beach, so it's somewhat of a tourist town. It's almost, but it's quite industrial too. It's almost like if you move Pittsburgh down onto a beach or something. It's I don't know if you know much about Pittsburgh. They're a river city, and a lot of working class folks though. So really nice. But then if you add the beach in there, it's a whole new thing. So yeah, that there's a lot of that. There's a lot of city pride. There's the Jaguars as well, and there's a place for that. I wanted to wait until we had the automatic before I really stepped into that, because you don't want to make a bunch of noise, get people interested, and then not be able to deliver, because once you get it figured out and you are able to deliver, no one's going to care, so it's like almost like spoiled cried wolf or something. So I wanted to get this dialed in and get some staff in here to where I could actually work on marketing and the website and a web store and be able to fulfill and all that. And we just don't have the staff yet. We're almost there. Yeah.
Do you think the next hurdle is going to be space after the staff, or do you have like room to expand, or it's tight in there, isn't it? Like
it's about I think both units are about 900 square feet. So you figure about 16 with the bathrooms, you got about 1,600 square feet of usable space. And it's 2 units. So you saw, if you were looking at the Instagram where we renovated and tore all the old goofy stuff out, that helped out a lot, but we are just packed in here like sardines. I'm looking at, you see my ink is way up on the wall. I have a ladder to go get it.
Really?
Just because there's no room for anything. I've filled the walls now. There's a fella the next unit over. We're on the end, so it's 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit. He's apparently going to retire soon, and so
you're all just like waiting for it.
We're like, hey Andy, how's it going?
Yeah,
when's real that hot out today? Be nice to be at home, wouldn't it, by the pool? So yeah, once they go, we'll get another 800 square feet. I'll be able to open this up. It'll buy us another couple years maybe, because moving is a huge pain in the ass when you're this size. It costs us, I figure, about $10,000 to move, and that doesn't cover the deposit on the new place, wiring it for electricity, because nobody's ready for machines like that.
So you said something interesting before. You said it was an electric press. So is that opposed to ones that are combination with gas? And like, does yours need a compressor and all that as well? Or?
Right. So I forget his name, but the fellow from Black Prince USA, it's the same press he has.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's all volt. It's electric. There's no, it doesn't need air. That's one of the pluses about it, because the room here, you figure you have some compressor the size of a refrigerator having to run. I'd have to have it in here. It would be noisy. It would take up extra space. And just all of the airlines and oils and stuff for those machines that kind of, right now, I'm not ready for that. So we got the volt.
But why would you want that? Like, what's the benefit of having those? Are you actually compromising on anything? Or are you?
I really don't know why. Servo indexers. The servo is just an electric motor. You turn on your fan at home. It's basically a servo. the technology to run those things, might not have been there when M&R developed a lot of its stuff.
Right.
So I'm not the air thing. I think it lowers your electrical requirements because some shops are already maxed out, and you hear they have 500 amp service and they're 3-phase and they need more, and so it might lower those requirements. You can run multiple machines off of one compressor, so if you have 3 autos, you can have one massive compressor. That's the biggest thing. I imagine also possibly speed. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Apparently M&R are bringing out 7 new presses, so I reckon they're bringing out an electric for sure, like to compete with that.
I've heard Rock was bringing one out in the next few months, and they'd be silly not to. If you have the capability, there's a lot of shops that are just, I can't go buy a big warehouse right now, some 50,000 square foot place, and we need the space, and it's quiet too. I don't have a compressor running. You don't hear all day. It's on right now, so there's nothing. It's pretty quiet in here.
Yeah, it's really super quiet and clean as well. I know you probably hear that a lot, and you have to be super clean when you're a little bit smaller as well, don't you? But it makes a huge difference on the prints. You see some automatics, especially when they're brands, not really screen printers first, and the press is just covered in ink, and you're like, gives you anxiety just looking at it. But
I every time I see a shop where it's just the press is covered in fuzz, the screens are covered in ink, everything's just covered in nasty. I think, how much time are you guys losing washing your hands? Like your rubber glove bill must be through the roof. Those things aren't cheap. So it's about efficiency. It seems like it takes longer to stop and clean something, but if you have to wash your hands 10 times because you keep stopping and touching that thing, plus all the merchandise you might ruin, I really don't see the advantage to that.
I don't know if we really covered it, but like you said, your clientele was getting narrower, but who would be like your ideal customers like now that you've like refocused and stuff?
There's me personally, like my like vanity projects, if you will. Like there's people have really cool art, and they have just a cool aesthetic about their business. I like working with that type of stuff, but from a pure business standpoint, my dream customer is someone with a marketing budget. It's not their own money.
Someone with money.
They have their own artist. They can send me vector artwork at a within minutes, and they're willing to pay up front and give me plenty of time. They're not in a hurry. So anybody who wants to do that, I'm down for. And usually it's small regional corporations, regional branches of corporations or small businesses. When we say small business, I don't mean little Jerry's Lawn Care. I mean $2-3 million gross per year. They seem to have it together. They have someone handling it. I like working with those guys.
Yeah, like you just said as well, like someone who wants to pay up front. But something I've experienced is like the bigger the company is, the more you get pushed back on getting paid. And then you've got to go through like accounts and then the quarter, and someone has to review your money and all of that kind of stuff. So you kind of like got to stay away. Well, in my experience, you've got to stay away from the really big boys who've got all that. But like you want the ones who've got the free flowing money. And like have you adopted that because you find it hard chasing up like the 50-50 kind of deposits, or you just
we haven't had much problem collecting. We use Printava now, so it's no longer an email where we have to ask for money or a phone call, or they're here in person and we say, okay, pay this now, and you have to deal with that whole how to maneuver through that situation. With Printava, we create the invoice, send a quote approval request. When they approve it, they click approve, and then it allows them to pay right there. And we have in little fine print, full payment required. And something about that, because people are so trained now with Amazon and different online buying, they just pull their card out and they're ready to pay. The card's already saved in their phone, so they just pay. It's rare that someone pushes back. There's a couple companies we do work for, larger companies, and they do like net 30, net 60, and we tell them, like, we're not financing this for you. You're just buying it from us. We're doing a good job. You need to pay. We'll work with you, like maybe this time, but next time, you need to be more prepared. There's only a couple that we've had to actually go and hunt down, like, let me speak to your supervisor, and get payment. But 99% of people just pay. And I think they like that. They don't have to come down here. They don't have to write a check. They can pay from their couch, and that's a big deal for people. Yeah.
Because without that, it's down to you as a personality not feeling awkward about money and asking people for money. And then, but that comes with like not being customer facing anymore. When they're right in front of you saying like, oh, I want this t-shirt for some sentimental reason, that's hard to take their money. But then if you don't have the customers seeing you anymore and they're behind emails, it's much, much cleaner, isn't it? But
it is. I have a tip for that, though. If you are in person trying to collect, don't ask for the money and then shut up. Don't say anything. It's kind of an old sales tip. He who talks first loses. So, all right, it's $600, and then just shut up.
Yeah.
They'll look at you and they want you to kind of go. But if you don't have it right, they'll usually pay. And some people won't. You can work out with them, but that really helps.
Yeah, like you only did it on me for like 2 seconds there, but I still felt something inside me clench up. Like you're not even a scary guy, but I was like, oh yeah, where's my phone? So pay. That's really funny. Yeah, just shut up. Yeah,
ask for the money and look at them, and let it be super awkward. Just let it get so awkward and just look at them, because then they'll want to end the awkwardness, and the only thing they can do is either say, I don't have money, or give you money. If they don't have money, we probably don't want them as a customer anyway. So.
Yeah, it just gets there faster, doesn't it? But like, is that something that you managed to do during COVID that you didn't before? It's like you had people like walking up to the shop all the time, and then that was your cutoff and you didn't have them anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on this path before COVID happened. And when it happened, it was like, all right, well, let's get organized. But allowing the ability to close your door and not have people ask you why was super helpful. And then we just kept the appointment thing. We're just like, no, we're appointment only. We wanted to do that before, but it was super hard because people are so used to just showing up, talking to you for an hour and a half about their shirts and then leaving, and it was too much. I couldn't get work done. I'd get 2 hours of work done and spend 6 hours at the counter talking to people. And most of the people at the counter talking to you, they want 12 shirts for, something in a hurry. And they're, I hate to say it's not who I really want to work with anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We had a little pushback. One guy came up and said, "Are you really appointment only?" And I said, "Yeah, man." And he didn't even let me finish. Like I was going to say, "Well, you're here now. What can I do for you?" He said, "You're going to go out of business." And he stormed off and slammed his truck door. And I was like, "All right, bye, man. I don't want to work with you."
Yeah.
A lot of that was from people here where they had politicized COVID so much. So basically, if you were like obeying or
oh really
if you were trying to be sensitive to people who needed special precautions for COVID, we were only letting people in one at a time. They would get super stank about it. They would like, "Oh, it's just a hoax." And it's like, dude, this is my business, man. Like I choose what who comes through the door.
Wow.
So it was weird how it got politicized. I'm like, I'm just trying to get you one at a time. What are you going to do? Standing here and breathe all over the person in front of you? Like, go sit in your car, buddy.
I didn't experience that, but I think it's because British people are so polite and we like queuing and being told what to do. So we're kind of a bit more like, we're all very regimented, all got our masks on. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that as a thing to have to contend with. So like you're saying, I was just going back to you and your sister's role, and like are you more front of house and she kind of like hangs back, or are you both kind of personalities in the business? Or
yeah, so I'm more the face of the company. She's a little bit more reserved in that way. She wants to get her work done, and I actually do enjoy talking
like
to people
in the camera like that.
Yeah. And she doesn't mind being on film. She thinks it's fun, but she's not interested in the being a print celebrity or something like that as much as I'm okay with that. And I'm like I said, she's a little more academic. I'm more creative and definitely more gregarious. I have more patience with people. She's a little feistier.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to have, because she'll tell you to stop being a softie with someone and like, no, just you need to maybe deal with it in a different way. That's interesting.
We'll good cop, bad cop people all the time.
Yeah. So like, as you've got your own quite distinct departments, like if you've got cash in the business to spend, like who gets to spend it? Because like if you got to buy your automatic, and then does she get to buy like a 6-head like huge embroidery machine now or anything?
Yeah.
How do you work that out?
It's we both view it less about like buying toys for ourselves and more about what does the business need to move forward. And most of the time we're in agreement. She might think it's a little early, or I might think it's early, or we've waited too long, but we're in agreement about what the business needs most of the time. We've been printing manually for almost 40 years, I guess, me personally, over 20. And we just having to turn down job after job of 500 shirts, because that if you've ever printed 500 3-color shirts front and back, it takes the whole damn week, but with this thing, I can do it in a day, taking my time. And what would happen is we'd have to charge people so much to make it worth our while. You figure we need to make $1,000 a day at a minimum. I have to charge $5,000 for your 500 shirt job, and people aren't going to pay that when there's somebody down the street who'll do it for less than half of that.
Wow. Yeah.
So we just decide what's best for the company.
Yeah. So and then are you kind of like nurturing your own kids to take over in like any subtle way? Are they a bit too small for that, aren't they?
My oldest is 5. The next one is Parker, is 3, and Ivy, the youngest, is turning 1 in a few days. So they're all a little young. My daughter Katie, the oldest, she likes videos. Like the creating it. She doesn't even know what YouTube is. We don't let her watch it. But she'll take my phone and go prop it up and do a little fake cooking show or an art show. Yeah. And it's funny because I won't even know she's doing it, and I'll find it in my phone later and get to watch the cute little show. But she sees me editing videos on my phone and seems to like that, so I'm kind of nurturing that a little bit. I'll show her what I'm doing and explain why, like, okay, I have to transition these 2 clips, and
then you show her a bit of Jaws.
Yeah. I want this machine moving like this, and then the shirt's moving like this, and I want to put them together, to where it looks like that, and explain it to her in a simple way. And she really likes it. It's hard to tell if she likes it because her dad likes it, or if she likes it. But either way, we'll ride that as long as we can.
Yeah. No, it's always really cool to bond over something that you really love, and you can see they're engaged in it as well. There's just one video that I only quickly watched, but is there a video where you've got like one side of the screen and you filmed it in black, or you've edited it to be black and white, and then as soon as you turn the screen around, then it goes into full color? I had to watch that 3 times. I was like, has he done that with lighting, or he's just very quickly filtered? Like, how have you done that one?
So that one is in video editing, you can do layers a lot like you can with Photoshop. So there's the video, and I copied and pasted it over top of itself. and then I turned this one black and white, and then I erased it right where it flips. So when that part of the screen, yeah, I got a screen right here. When it makes it to that point, I cut the video there, and as it moves, I just have the new part of the video follow it. So it's really simple. It's a little tedious going in and just making sure that each frame follows so it doesn't look shoddy, you know.
I love that how screen printing's got. Yeah, I like how screen printing's like opened up in the last few years for you to be able to like add video production, and it's not just a skill that people can't really engage with anymore because everyone's got phones and everyone seems to have their own personalities in their studios, don't they? So yeah, they're really coming through now, and people can be a bit more creative. Are people referencing the videos when they come and see you, or?
My kind of plan with the videos is to if there's a job that I really like and I want to do more of, I'll do a video for that job and kind of try to showcase the work I'm doing, like the quality of it, but also showcase the customer. You know, make sure their logo's prominent at some point. Make sure it's something they can share and it's relevant. Because if I just do something about high technical screen printing and then flash their logo, they don't care. But if I make some sick video with rad beats and cool colors and kind of theme it to where it fits with their business, then they'll share it, and it's kind of like free marketing. Yeah. So they appreciate the videos. They don't really reference them so much. Like new customers coming in, like, hey man, I saw that video. Some customers will say, hey, those videos you're doing, you know, are killer. You guys are, you know, knocking, you know, blowing up or whatever. But no, it hasn't seemed to generate much as far as I know, as far as like, you know, customers showing up because of like, oh, I saw your video and I'm here now, baby. You know?
Yeah. No, it is a really good idea to have that thing to show other people, like our normal boring like the images. Basically, we do that for our people as well. But in the quote, we say like, do you want a custom video? And they can opt in, or they can opt in to have it. And it takes us maybe another hour to shoot and edit. But then again, it's shareable. It looks good on ours. It's kind of like we're getting paid to do our own marketing. Are there people who kind of go, oh, can you make me a video of my shirt? And you're a bit like, oh, I don't like your shirt very much. I don't quite want to do a whole setup on it.
Yeah.
You're like, not worthy yet.
No, not really. What I'm trying to do is figure out a way to make it a service we could charge for. I didn't know that you were actually doing that. Yeah. Because I'm doing it to show that, hey, we can do this stuff. And it would be cool to have it as an add-on to an invoice. Yeah. Like, hey, we want you to make us a video. Now, I'll make the video. I might not want to share it on our platform, but I'll make the video for them to share. That's not a problem. But yeah, if it's something I'm not interested in, it's going to be harder to do without getting paid for it. So right now I'm doing them kind of pro bono, or really it's just trying to build up our you know, our prestige. You know, hey, those guys do sick work and they look cool doing it. That's basically all I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. Are there like other aspirations like that? Like, are you going to be doing product shoots for people? Or are you getting into any of that side of it, the photography? Because your photographs are crazy. Like, I don't know how you're doing that. Are you doing like a little corner of the room, like a little set, or how are you staging the hats in particular?
Oh, for the stills, yeah, I've got some lights set up, and I have a few just pieces of a big piece of metal I lay down. I have some black boards, some white boards. It's not like a corner, it's just I'll just throw it on a table. I don't know if I can undo this, but it might be kind of dark. Up there, that black triangle, that's an overhead lamp. And cool. Our table that dismounts where we take our shirts off, that's where I'll just lay it down. And then I've got big old photo lights.
Can I see your computer screen? Is it one of those wraparound ones that like goes on forever? Oh, I want one of them.
Oh no, it's two of them.
Oh, it's two. I thought it was one giant gelled one. Two. also
No,
cool.
it's just two Lenovo monitors.
Yeah.
Nothing special.
It's like you're bringing up the whole stock exchange while you're printing your monitors.
Yeah, I have to have two monitors, one for reference, and then one for the art that I'm doing. Yeah, I'd love those wraparound ones, but they're too expensive for that.
Yeah, you have to justify it now.
Yeah, I got a 4K HDR monitor for video editing at home, so I can justify that. But like some wraparound monitor, I got no reason to do that.
Yeah. So like you've already got the shop management sorted, you've got the auto, you were talking, I've seen you've got something with pre-press, and then can I like ask, you've kind of got this thing where you're holding the screens in place when you're coating them, but I would have thought that was something for like micro reg where it like clicks in, but it's not, is it?
No, it's just the screen coater.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It just clamps on and holds it there.
Yeah, I made that. I have a drafting table that I take screens up on. Yeah. So it's just I don't know, it might be too silly to walk around. I can show you. No, I got a bunch of stuff stacked up on it right now.
You'll get distracted, and it'll be like a shop tour.
I'll send you some pictures of close-ups of it, but it's just this piece of aluminum composite at the top. So I've bent it so it acts like a spring.
Yeah.
So I push the screen into the top there, and then the bottom is I've mounted it all to a screen frame, and the bottom is just two little tabs that poke out that you pop the screen into. Basically, I looked at all the coders. Vastex makes a really nice one, but it's $1,000. And it's very similar to what I've done, except it's more adjustable. And then there's those ones where it's like just a board on a table and you kind of lean your screen against the wall. I think I've seen you use one of those. Yeah,
I just did it myself. We just drilled it into actually, I've done it on the bottom. I didn't think it would work on the bottom, but it does. You don't have to drill it into the wall at different heights. You can just have a shelf and have three little stubby bits. Yeah, no, but I all the stuff in your studio, I keep thinking it's like engineered, but then if you've got those skills of metalwork and stuff already, then they just transfer in. Because it's all just literally, I have a box up there in my like mezzanine. It's like metal scraps, so it's just random flotsam, just random bits of metal, and I'll just say, all right, does that fit there? Okay, cool. I need something this thick to jam in here, and and then it'll work. And if I prove that it works, then I'll look into making something a little cuter. Yeah, but that's like a whole concept, isn't it? There's all the lean manufacturing kind of like ideas. It's always like do a shitty version of something to see if it's worth investing your time in. That's like a whole That's the whole lean book, basically, and just like fixing things, putting stickers on things, Kaizen, all that kind of stuff. That's where, like, do you follow Corey from Floodway?
Yeah. He's that guy. He's busy, man. I didn't. I was like, it's never. I have another account called the Scream Printer. I haven't been using it. Yeah, I haven't been using it because I just was going to go all in on the Silkscreams, but it had a lot of that kind of stuff where I'm trying out different things, and it's just too much. Just the freaking hashtags are too much to keep up. Anyways, so yeah, I saw him. I watched some of his YouTube stuff, and pretty cool. It was cool seeing somebody doing stuff that's the same thing. Like I'm doing the same stuff. Where he's got, everything's labeled, everything has its home. You're thinking about how you walk through the shop. Does it make sense? Are you going here, then over there, and then back? We need to move this thing over here, and just little kind of dumb stuff, like when you're cleaning a screen, instead of using a card when you're breaking it down, use a squeegee. Because it's ready made. Like, why not use that? Then you don't have to buy a bunch of cards, and it's made for moving ink,
Yeah.
So I like him.
Yeah. But even like all these chats and stuff, like I'm sure like people have got 3 or 4 things just off seeing you, and then they're looking in the back of your studio and seeing stuff, and everything's just opened up, and people want to show off their tweaks and their like little ideas on things. It's really cool. I love how it's all just opened up in the last few years. Because yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Growing up in the industry, like it used to be super secretive. Like everybody had some special sauce they were trying to protect, and it's kind of stupid because everybody's doing the same thing. And like I remember going to apply for a job at a shop, and I showed up to the wrong shop, so they weren't expecting me. And I was like, "Hey, I'm here for the job," and I was kind of trying to see what equipment they had. And this guy was like blocking me, like he wouldn't let me see, and they were like super sketched out, like I was a spy or something. I'm really glad that a lot of that's changed because it's stupid. We can't help each other, and if everyone is like that, if you have a problem, you can't get an answer from someone. So I'm happy to share what I know. If I can call you and get have you explain how you do it, so that I might improve my business.
Yeah. I haven't actually asked you about your inks and things. Like, did you ever like use a broad range of inks, like plasters, water-based, all sorts, and have you honed that in, or would you still pick up lots of different types of ink?
We've been plastisol since the beginning. Probably in the very beginning, we're using wacky NASCAR inks, because in the 80s, ink was pretty not quite as modern as it is now. However, we've been plastisol. I started looking into discharge printing once I learned that you could print it as an underbase and then just print colors on top.
Yes.
You don't have to mix every single color with discharge with the activator. Then that seemed like something I really wanted to know, because I hate the way a plastisol shirt feels when it's got some thick white, underbase and then all this color on top, and it's if you don't get it real smooth, it feels like sandpaper or Brillo pad or something.
Yeah.
We
did that one. We did that discharge underbase, and I didn't trust it so much that we put it in the water about 20 times because it just doesn't like compute in my head that it should work for some reason. There isn't really a reason, but it's just like, I don't really like that one. Like, but it's so much softer, and if you heat press it, then it's basically like water based. It's really nice, and just the cost of ink, it could be that reason that people opt for it as well.
Yeah, there was a white ink shortage here during COVID for a little while, and some companies just went straight to doing a discharge underbase so that they didn't have to worry about printing the white ink. And I thought about that too, because it's expensive. For me, it's about the feel. We're not doing water-based yet, so I don't have that option. But a lot of our customers are doing merch for their business, and they want that nice retail feel, and so I looked into what we could do to duplicate that reliably. After about a year of development with the discharge base, which one's going to work, what inks work on top, how do they wash, what can you do to make it wash better? Actually, heat pressing them does a really good job if you do that. And then also additives, like there's soft plastisol additives you can put into. There's additives you can put in to make the ink more like water-based. We've gone through all that. I'm really digging. One Stroke Inks makes an ink called watercolor. It's not water-based at all, but it prints like the fashion soft or the soft hand-based inks that you mix, but it doesn't. It's got a higher pigment load than if you water something down. So I'm really digging those and kind of converting over to a lot of that.
Yeah, because like just looking quickly at what you're doing, it looked like water-based ink because you've got it so smooth, and that's probably just because you've got your spatula mixing it to hell. But yeah, is that like what would your like number one bit of advice for people printing what would your shop hack thing kind of be for printers to improve?
I was thinking about that. I was like, my whole life is a shop hack. Outside of like shortcuts and stuff, there's some fundamental things I think people overlook, like screen tension. Like if you're trying to do multicolor stuff and you're having a hard time, and everything else looks good, check that out if you haven't already. That's super important as far as registering things. And I think it's overlooked, and there's tons of videos on YouTube on how to screen print, and nobody's covering, it's all super fundamental. Nobody's covering the kind of troubleshooting aspects or more slightly higher echelon aspects of the work.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Shop hacks. If you have a heat press, you can heat press your shirts to cure them. You don't have to sit them under the flash for 10 years. Get them flashed, get them off the, get them dry to touch, and then you can take them to the heat press later. Seems to be a lot of new people are putting it under the flash and trying and hoping it's cured. Get a $200 heat press and heat press them things. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. There's one thing there that I'm seeing though, that they're making their prints super shiny, and they might even be like remelting the plastisol, and it's like goes into like a very smooth glass-like finish. I'm pretty sure that's overkill.
Yeah, if you use one of the I think they call them PTFE, but the Teflon sheets, you can heat press them pretty hot, and they will turn to like super glossy print. I don't like the look of that, so I don't really do it. I actually try to avoid that. I use craft paper, and it'll give the print more of a matte finish if it's a solid deposit of ink. Yeah.
Do you think it also just like, I know the type of people who aren't really are using heat presses, maybe like aren't really doing the super complicated work, maybe, but do you think it like flattens all your dots and your lines a bit? And like squishes them out just very slightly, but enough.
You can control the pressure. You don't need much, I don't know how to explain how much pressure you use, but just enough.
Contact.
Just contact, and then like the weight of a heavy book, sitting on the shirt. It doesn't take much. My dots are super fine. I try to lay down the minimum amount of ink possible in order to give the shirt a lighter feel. So if it's a hoodie, and I'm for some reason committed to doing halftone work on the hoodie, it might squish those dots a little bit. But those, I'm probably, most people probably aren't trying to do that with a flash and heat press. That kind of work. I would take them to a shop, call a local shop, say, hey, I've flashed all my stuff. Can I bring it in and run through your dryer? I'll give you a case of beer or whatever. Most cool shops, I know I'd somebody to do that, as long as it didn't become a thing where they're here every day.
Yeah, a case of beer is literally the bargaining tactic for all shops. Like if anyone comes with a case of beer here, we're like, yeah, you're allowed in. So that should be like our like joint shop hack.
Right. Yeah. We don't drink pizza.
Yeah.
How about pizza then? Pizza or Starbucks or something.
But there's one other question I want to ask, because you've like sorted out all your screens, or you've got like moved over to the new guy. Have you done thin thread and then upped your mesh count as well, or were you always using high meshes?
When I came back and kind of from I went and worked at a couple different shops around the country, a couple automatic shops, and kind of saw what they were doing. I came back and tried to go to higher meshes because everything was a 110, and then some of the higher mesh stuff was like a 155. I think we had a 173, and it was like don't use that unless we're doing halftones, So I tried to up everything. I've pretty much stopped using 110s and 125s except for hoodies. Right now, we're about to print a job. It's on a white comfort color shirt, and it's 3 colors, and I want it pretty soft, so it's going to be a 280. And with the thin thread, I don't think it's with thin thread, you don't have to press as hard. So as long as you flood well, even if you're doing manually, you flood well, you can pull the squeegee a little slower, and it'll go in. If you're having to press the shit out of the screen, you're doing something wrong. Your emulsion, your EOM's wrong, your mesh choice is wrong, your ink isn't hot enough. Plastisol ink needs to be over 80 degrees. If you're trying to print with 60-degree ink and you're complaining about it's too thick, you need to warm it up. Put it in a crock pot with some water, stir it up, whatever you got to do.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I think, go higher, smooth out the ink, make it almost look like water-based, which is what you guys are doing. And then the thin thread just allows you to do 1 pass instead of 2, I'm guessing. So
yeah, it holds more detail too, because the threads are smaller, which there's more open area, there's more holes, and the holes are bigger, so you can get quite a bit more. It'll hold quite a bit more detail because you're doing a lot. There's a lot more support in one little area, so you can get. I think I was getting 55 line dots on a 155. I was kind of blown away by that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what a 90 should have been or something. In our country is your metric. So the whole dot count's completely different. Right? I've got my chart over there, so I can't quite see it without my glasses on, but I know it's there. I've learned a few of them. I just can't tell anyone enough to go and watch your videos, because they're just, the standard is like higher than anything I've seen. They're all little movies. Thank you so much.